Michigan Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, has clarified a derogatory comment he made on a recent call with donors after facing backlash. In the leaked audio recording obtained by Politico, he said if he wins, it would give the progressive movement an opportunity to reshape the Democratic Party.
Primarying people like John Fetterman, I have no problem to do that. Like, I'm looking forward to it. And people are like, oh, we don't primary in the Senate. I'm like, watch me do it. And then what happens is, ideally, you put one ogre on a pike, and then everyone else gets the message.
Some Democrats assumed El-Sayed's comments were about his Democratic opponent, Congresswoman Haley Stevens. But during Monday night's debate between the two candidates, El-Sayed actually said he had another prominent Democrat in mind.
I was referring to a guy named John Fetterman, who's a senator from Pennsylvania, who has done terrible things, got elected on a set of values, and is now completely throwing those values in the mud. And I do think it's important for any senator in Michigan to have a relationship with folks who are in the U.S. Senate. And if those folks are not actually acting in accordance with what they got elected on, I think it's important for all of us to have an honest opinion about what we're going to do to make sure that our Senate looks like the people it represents.
Congresswoman Stevens laughed off the comment and thanked El-Sayed for clarifying he didn't call her an ogre. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now from Detroit. All right, so let's talk about that. Is he still getting backlash for that? And both candidates address negative comments they've made about each other during the debate. Last week, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who endorsed Stevens, said she was concerned by some of the rhetoric in the race. What's happening here? Why is this race in particular so contentious?
Lindsay, starting with the backlash, this is something that popped up in this last week before the primary, but it kind of adds to the argument that Haley Stevens, as well as her allies, who tend to be a bit more moderate, maybe a bit more centrist, have made against the tone that we've seen from Abdul El-Sayed throughout this campaign. He is someone that has a bit of an edgier personality that reflects his supporters, and it got to a point where he had to tell his supporters publicly to not go after Haley Stevens' voice or accent. This race has gotten so hostile in part because there is so much at stake. Big picture, whoever wins this race will be likely facing Republican nominee Mike Rogers this November. And Democrats need to win this Senate seat in Michigan if they have any hope of flipping the overall chamber of the Senate during these midterm elections. But it also reflects this pretty intense debate we've seen within the Democratic Party when it comes to more pragmatic progressives or centrist candidates such as Haley Stevens and more progressive or Democratic socialist aligned candidates like Abdul El-Sayed. Now, El-Sayed says he himself is not a socialist in terms of what he labels himself, but he does, position himself to the left of Stevens when it comes to abolishing ICE or this topic of Israel. One other thing that's really turned the heat up in this race is just the outside spending. Tons of ads, primarily from AIPAC, supporting Haley Stevens. That has resulted in El-Sayed really focusing on that spending discrepancy in these closing weeks of the race.
And Congresswoman Stevens has been focusing on a key voting bloc in Michigan, black voters. Why is that?
Well, it's a key part of her electorate so far. That's what has shown in polls. She has represented also the outer part of Detroit as a congresswoman, so she has more ties to the constituents and local leaders here. We talked to one Detroit school board candidate about Stevens, and he said that he supports her, but also about the outside spending that El-Sayed is attacking Stevens on. Take a listen to what he said.
We speak about so many different groups, and for some reason we just want to pinpoint one particular group or another. Some communities are not able to donate, some communities are. If a good candidate has to take funds from an outside group in order to be seen and heard, I don't think that's a problem.
And that's what we heard from multiple older black voters at the event that we were at today. Now, as a sign of where he sees his base, Abdul El-Sayed was in Lansing with Congressman Maxwell Frost, the only Generation Z member of Congress. Again, the election is just next Tuesday, August 4th.
Aaron Navarro, thanks so much.